Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of The Curious Card. After a very long hiatus, I got a little bit busy with exams and whatnot at the end of last quarter, and last week was my spring break. But now I'm back, and Primal Clash is out, so we've got a lot of decks to cover. But first I want to do a couple of quick shoutouts. As some of you may know, yesterday, Kyle Sukovich, who ran the YouTube channel, the Pokemon YouTube channel, The Top Cut, for the last 4 years, stepped down from his video making. He's going to be working for the Pokemon Company International, which I am incredibly jealous of. That's his dream job, he said, but that's also kind of my dream job. So very jealous and very happy for him that he has this opportunity, but it's pretty bittersweet. We all really liked his videos. He did a lot for the community, made videos 2 or 3 times a week. From Bad Deck Monday to Deck Wizard Wednesday to Building on a Budget. His videos, which there were competitive ones too, but his other videos especially were an inspiration for me to kind of look at the other cards in all the sets that have been released. Not just the big EXs, but also the other cards that have potential. So I definitely credit him for inspiring me to do that, and we're really going to miss his videos and all he's done for this community. So if you haven't watched his videos are still up. He's just not going to be making any more. So if you go over to the Top Cut and have a look at those, I promise you will not be disappointed. They're very good videos. So Kyle, thank you again for all you've done for the community. My other shout out is for a friend of a friend and a big fan of the show, Jason Carter. He actually lives in my hometown, and so I'm very hoping is not a phrase that people say, but I'm very hoping to meet you on my next visit to Huntsville, Jason. Alright, so let's look at this deck here, which I'm sure some of you who probably weren't even listening to what I was saying because it's very strange looking, which is probably your reaction to a lot of decks I put on here. But anyway, this deck is an Excadrill deck. Primal Clash came out several weeks ago, but one of the coolest things in the set are the ancient traits, which are Omega Barrage, Omega Barrier, Alpha Heal, and Alpha Growth, which are 4 traits that are just kind of scattered across all the Pokemon in this set. They are not abilities, they're just intrinsic parts of the cards that give them an extra just kind of capability that gives them an edge over a lot of the other cards. So this Excadrill has Omega Barrage, which means that it can attack twice per turn. This is definitely one of the cooler ancient traits. So, of course, for that to be good, we have to have actually good attacks. So let's have a look at Excadrills. Excadrill knows Dredge, which lets you search your deck for 2 energy cards and attach them to this Pokemon. And notice the wording of that. You can actually, it says 2 energy cards. So those can be special energies. So say you don't have any energy on Excadrill at first, but then you draw into one, you can attach any kind of energy to Excadrill, and then use Dredge to get 2 of any kind of energy from your deck. So you could attach like a metal, and then Dredge to get a single double colorless from your deck, or 2 special metal energies from your deck, or you could attach a double colorless to him, and then Dredge for a metal or a special metal. So it's a very versatile attack. If you don't have anything on Excadrill, that's alright. Excadrill can get himself going as long as you give him just 1 energy. So of course that would only matter if the other attack is good, because Dredge of course does no damage. Mach Claw, on the other hand, does 50 damage and doesn't apply weakness. So that's pretty modest, but don't forget we can attack twice. So if we already have the energy necessary for Mach Claw, we can Mach Claw once and then Mach Claw twice for a total of 100 damage. The cool thing is if we have a Muscle Band, that's going to be 20 more for each of the attacks of Excadrill. So Mach Claw for 70, Mach Claw for 70, and all of a sudden you just did 140 damage with a non-EX Pokemon for just 3 energy. That's pretty good. But Excadrill itself is really not going to be able to just pull off a lot of wins by itself. It's going to need a partner in crime. We can't really just stream Excadrills because they require a lot of energy. Even with Dredge, we'd have to Dredge for our first attack and then just do a kind of lousy Mach Club for 50 or 70. So we're going to need some kind of partner to help Excadrill out. And that's going to come in the form of a very old card, Klinklang, from Plasma Storm. Yeah, Plasma Storm. Like I said, an old card. It was very popular when it came out. A lot of people will pair it with things like Cobalion EX and Registeel EX and those kind of cards. But I think what really made those decks run was the other Klinklang that knew, what was it called? Shift gear that let you move your metal energies around. But this Klinklang knows Plasma Steel, has the ability Plasma Steel. Prevent all damage done to your metal Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon EX. So this is very similar to the Safeguard ability on Suicune and Sigilif. This doesn't prevent effects, but it will prevent damage on your metal Pokemon. So this allows you to do a lot of cool steel Pokemon that are probably more powerful than Sigilif and Suicune. Gives you these other options to attack with and still be immune to these EXs. So we've got some pretty good math going with these two cards. The Excadrill is, of course, a steel type, so if we set up the Klinklang, we will be immune to EX attacks. So that means our biggest threat is going to be those big Pokemon, not EXs, but the ones with 130 HP, who will still be able to knock out Excadrill. So things like Baby Xerneas, Kyurem, Baby Eviltal would probably be the biggest threat. With Muscle Band, we're doing Mach Claw for 70, and then Mach Claw for 70 again. That adds up to 140, and that is enough to take down those non-EXs. So between Excadrill and Klinklang, we can actually pretty much get essentially one-hit knockouts on any of the Pokemon that we come across. So those are going to be our two chief partners in crime. We also have some other Pokemon. One of the main problems of these kind of setup decks is they don't really have good starters. We don't want to start Drillbur because he's probably going to be knocked out before we can even really do anything with him because he's a little 60 HP. We don't want to start with Klink. He's also very important, also 60 HP. So we're going to want to start, instead of using Pokemon Fan Club, we're going to use Pokemon that know Call for Family. That way we don't start with our more important basics. We can kind of use these, in a sense, disposable basics to get out our basic Pokemon. So Klefki is going to be the primary one. He is a Steel type, so once we get Plasma Clang up, he can actually have the protection of the Plasma Steel ability. Knows Call for Family, so we can get two basics on our bench. We also have Dedenne with Entrainment, which it does exactly the same thing. But Dedenne also knows Energy Short, which can definitely help us out against dark decks, particularly ones that use Baby Eviltal, which can be a difficult card to deal with for this deck. So the ideal situation here is we want to start with Klefki or Dedenne, use their Call for Family or Entrainment attacks to get basics on our bench, and then once they're knocked out, we would like to have an Ultra Ball or Jirachi in our hand, using the Ultra Ball, of course, to get Jirachi if we don't have Jirachi. Bench Jirachi, use the Stellar Guidance ability to get any supporter we want. Grab the Teammates card, which says if one of your Pokemon was knocked out during your opponent's last turn, you can use this card to search out any two cards in your deck. This is one of the cards we got from, this is Primal Clash. Yeah, it's Primal Clash. So once our Klefki or Dedenne goes down, we can use Teammates to search your deck for Rare Candy and Klinklang, and just like that, we've got the lock set up. Once we've got Klinklang set up, Excadrill can't be hurt by EXs, and it's going to be very difficult for our opponent to take us down. So that is the general idea of the deck. The only card that I didn't really talk about was Keldeo. That's mostly for special conditions for like Hypnotoxic Laser, which we don't deal well with, partly because we don't run our own stadiums. We really just don't have room in here. Keldeo also doubles as a way to get heavy Pokemon like Klinklang out of the active spot if they get Lysandered. Klinklang does have 3 retreats, so that's going to be, you're going to have a bad time if you get Lysandered. Okay, so that's all the Pokemon. Let's jump briefly to the energy cards. We do have 4 Double Colorless, just because Double Colorless is compatible with the Mach Claw attack, Steel, and 2 Colorless energy. We have regular metal, of course, but we also have 2 of these special metals, which reduce all damage done to the Pokemon they're on by 10. Of course, it has to be a metal Pokemon that it's attached to. So we can search these out with Dredge. And so if we're facing something like a baby Eviltal and it has a muscle band on it, we can actually avoid being knocked out because we can attach 2 to Excadrill of these special energies. That means that Oblivion Wing, which will do 120 normally, will be reduced to 100, and Excadrill will live to see another day. So that's a kind of neat combo we can do. I would like to do more, but I don't want to be quite that vulnerable to enhanced hammer. So just 2 here. Alright, so the trainers, we got pretty standard, 4 Juniper, 4 N, 2 Colress, couple Lysander, 3 VS Seeker, 1 Skyla, just because it works pretty well with VS Seeker, and it can help us grab that rare candy for the Klinklang. The teammates I went over already. That's generally just going to be used within the 2nd or 3rd turn of the game just to set up Klinklang. Also very good with VS Seeker. The float stones, of course, for Keldeo, so we can rush in and then retreat to get rid of damage from Hypnotoxic Laser or to rescue our Klinklang that's been Lysandered. We also have the 3 Muscle Band. I talked about the math on that already. And I think, yeah, the only other thing would be the 2 rare candies may seem a little bit low, but I think the reason that Klinklang, part of the reason that it's a little bit more viable now, I think, is that back when Klinklang was released, this Klinklang, there was a card, Pokemon Catcher, I think a lot of you probably remember, was exactly Lysander. They just switch your opponent's bench Pokemon with one of his active Pokemon of your choice, but it was an item card. So if that seems really powerful to you, it's because it was. It was the most powerful card in the game. It was going for lots of money, and every deck ran 4 of it. So back then, Klinklang was always under danger, or always in danger of being knocked out by just a catcher and just some non-EX hitting it. But now with Lysander being a much more balanced card than catcher, it's a lot harder to knock out a Klinklang. So we're just running this thin line of Klinklang and a pretty thin line of rare candy, because we really only need to set up 1. That's probably going to last us for the rest of the game. Computer search. It's going to be the ace-spec of choice in here. Just there's a lot of pieces in this deck, and we're going to need to just kind of grab what we need when we need it. And so that's what computer search is good for. And then we also burn through resources pretty quickly, so we've got 1 Lysander's trump card just to get back a lot of these resources. If we just have to discard a lot of cards at the beginning, or our opponent gets the jump on us on knocking out Excadrills, trump card's going to be a good recovery card. So that is the deck. Let's have a look at a game I played with it on PTCGO. Tolgit. Gonna pick Tails. It is Tails, so we will elect to go first. We'll start with our single Dedenne, interesting. And before we bench the Drillburs, let's see what we are playing against. Let me see, a Jinx to start out with. This could mean a few different things. I've only seen Jinx with Seismitoad decks so far, so that is concerning. We'll go ahead and attach to Dedenne, and we won't end just yet. We'll wait, because I'd like to evolve to Excadrill. Of course, can't entrainment because we're going first, but next turn we most certainly will. See an Ultra Ball, Team Flare tool. This is looking like Seismitoad, so we'll see. Yep, there it is. This is never a pretty matchups. There's a laser. We do not go to sleep. That's good. Another laser. That indicates a Juniper incoming. We again don't stay asleep. This Dedenne has had some serious coffee, so he will not give in to the ways of the Hypnotoxic. Evolve to Excadrill. It's risky, but we'll go ahead and attach this special metal. And then we will end. We got another Drillbur. We got a Klefki. Why not? And, okay, and we'll go ahead and use, no, let's actually not bench that, because, we can use we can entrainment this turn. We don't want to fill our bench with anything we don't want. So we will just entrainment, grab Keldeo, grab Klink, though we need to check if Kling is here first. Kling. Okay, Klang is here, so we do have a way to get Klinklang out. Though it will be arduous, for sure, because we have to draw into the Klinklang. So this is some kind of hybrid deck. This has got Jinx and Swirlix, and well, not like we could attach Floatstone anyway, but Headringer going on to Keldeo. Dedeni's going to go down. We will put up Excadrill here. There's Klinklang, but that doesn't really help us, and we are out of supporters already. We'll attach a metal to the bench, and then we will dredge, grab a double colorless here, and then do a Mach-Claw for 50. Unfortunately, we cannot get the knockout next turn, and I have a feeling we're about to be Enhanced Hammer, just because this deck runs a lot of energy discarding cards usually, so may be unpleasant for us very soon. Best thing we could draw right now would be either like a draw supporter or a Klang would be really nice, and man, that Jinx is going to be annoying, but I don't know, once we get the double Mach-Claw going, we should be alright. So there's a Juniper, Slurpuff with the Tasting, Crushing Hammer. Here comes the Onslaught. Of course it is heads. Why would it not be heads? Alright, and then we see the, see that, we do have teammates, so this could be interesting, though if Laser knocks us out next turn, like it probably will, we won't be able to use teammates. So we're just hoping that doesn't happen. We'll bench Kalefki in case we don't have anything to promote next turn, and then use Mach-Claw twice, 50 and 50. So now we're getting a bit more damage. We'll see this, if this Jinx will of course do some more healing, but if I'm sure we'll probably be knocked out this turn just because of poison. No way he doesn't have a laser by now. Though he did use 2 on the first turn, so I don't know. Team Flare Grunt, not one of my favorite cards. Would be super cool if we could draw an energy. We did not, so sadly we will have to yeah, we'll have to just dredge again, and then get a double colorless, attach it, and then Mach-Claw again, keep the pressure on this Seismitoad, and then next turn we can teammates and hopefully get the knockout on this Seismitoad by using dredge and then Mach-Claw with our other Excadrill. And in the no teammates. Okay, we got it back. So, and remarkably again, no other supporters. So we will promote Excadrill here. And then, oh, well, there's Klang right there. So, I suppose, well, yeah, promote, do that. Teammates now for, I'm going to want a Chorus, I'm going to want an Excadrill. That sounds pretty good to me. So only 50 HP left. We can dredge and then Mach-Claw, or we can just go ahead and attach and get a double hit onto this Seismitoad. So we'll attach, or we'll put down that Excadrill. And where to attach this DCE? I don't know, I say we should go for it. So we will Mach-Claw for 50, and then take 2 prizes, see who he promotes. Uh-oh, that was a mistake. He put up the Slurpuff, it's still my turn, and Slurpuff is weak to steel, so we'll go ahead and knock out the Slurpuff. So 3 prizes in 1 turn for Excadrill. That's pretty good. I'm sure he did not mean to do that. So he's going to promote the Seismitoad, the one with the DCE. Interesting. I don't know why he didn't put up the Jinx with the Floatstone, but we'll see. So this is pretty rare. It's very difficult to get out Klinklang under item lock, especially when you only play one Klang. So that was a pretty lucky draw. There's an N. That's rough. All right, well, here's another Crushing Hammer and another Heads. Muck Claw for 50, but we did get a Chorus, so we'll be able to search for, try to get that Klinklang back, which would be really nice. And we did get it, so we will go ahead and put that down. Take that, Seismitoad. So we will dredge and get the. Alright, so you see, this is why we need Trump Card oftentimes, because we're just going to be running out of stuff soon. So we will Muck Claw for 50. And man, we're gonna need to find Trump Card very soon, because we're running out of energy. So now my opponent realizes he cannot damage me, so his damage output is going to have to come from Hypnotoxic Laser. He still has 2 left, so it's likely he will find one of them pretty soon. And then we can rush him with Keldeo, but we need a DCE to retreat, and we are actually out of DCE, so in a bit of a pickle here. We really need to find that Trump Card, like I mentioned. There's a Juniper, Crushing Hammer, a 3rd Heads from the Crushing Hammer. Hasn't he done well? And we'll see what happens here. We do have another energy here, so we can dredge, which is nice. We'll attach a metal here, and we'll have to dredge for the last energy this turn. Unless, of course, we draw it, which would suck. Please don't let us draw it. Oh, no. Well, was that a last energy? Okay, so I think there's one more special in here. We're still going to be looking for that Lysander's Trump Card, but we cannot seem to find it right now. So we'll dredge, grab that energy, shield energy, and then Muck Claw for our second attack, and do 50 here. So it's a very slow but steady pummeling of the Seismitoad. In the meantime, we're going to really have to find that Trump Card if we want to stay in the game here. Keldeo gets Lysandered. Not much we can do about that. We actually literally cannot retreat this Keldeo. So we'll go ahead and attach to this Excadrill, and then we'll look for another Excadrill, or Jilbur, as well as a Lysander's Trump Card. So we'll play in here. Okay, there's Jirachi. That could be useful next turn. It's definitely useful because we can just search out Trump Card that way. So, yeah, we'll just have to pass right here. And I hope Trump Card is not prized. I don't remember. There's a Laser. And, man, he is good at heads. Now there's Quaking Punch. We do stay asleep. Thankfully, we will not be knocked out going into his turn. That's a good thing. We'll need to, play... Actually, let's do this differently. Now we have this Drillbur here, and I don't really want to waste the bench space here. And Keldeo will be knocked out next turn. I'd like to get that back. So we're going to put down Drillbur. Skyla, look for the Trump Card that I hope is in here. It is. Hope my opponent doesn't play in this next turn, and then we will pass. And Keldeo will stay asleep. Probably better for him, so he doesn't have to witness what's about to happen to him. Our opponent is going to be healing some more with Jinx, which is a pretty annoying card, actually. So let's see, Quaking Punch. And I might hold off on this Trump Card for now. I would like to see what my opponent does here, because he is running very thin on resources as well. So we will Muck Claw once, Muck Claw twice, and that'll put him at 60 hit points. My opponent is, of course, out of... well, no, he has one more Laser. So that will be his kind of last chance. Okay, so he's going to Lysander Klinklang. That's no fun. He, of course, can't do damage to Klinklang without Hypnotoxic Lasers, so this will be interesting. There's an N, or via Seeker 4N. I'm interested if he has any more lasers, because it might be in our best interest to just kind of sit tight here if he doesn't. Yeah, I think we're just going to pass and see what he's got for us. He will need a laser to do anything to this Klinklang. And it's very possible it's at the bottom of his deck, or in his prizes. There's an N. Let's see, a Quaking Punch for 0. And he only has 2 cards left, so I think we will take this opportunity to... Yeah, we'll just go for the Stellar Guidance for a trump card. Play that. Get all our cards back, and hopefully we'll find a way to get our Klinklang out of danger, though it will certainly be difficult without Keldeo. Hopefully my opponent doesn't have a supporter. That would be really nice. So right now we'll be mainly looking for double colorless or really any kind of energy so we can retreat the Klinklang. It's going to be our primary goal right now. You can see the double heal from the Jinx. And Quaking Punch. Looks like my opponent does not have a supporter. So there's the DCE. We'll drop that down, and then Juniper. Look for another one. Drop this Excadrill. And we got Colors for next turn, looking pretty good. So we'll pass and hope he doesn't have any hammers to get this energy off. There's his Lost Swirlix. And we might actually, I think we can actually get a knockout this next turn if we can retreat this Klinklang. Alright, so we'll attach, I don't want to waste a DCE. I might be a bit of a gambling man here. Let's do a chorus and see if we can get a not double colorless, because these double colorless are pretty valuable. Well, no, we better be conservative. No. This is hard. Okay, we're just going to chorus, see what we get. Alright, so we did get a medal. That might have been a little bit too risky of me. I just didn't want to waste 2 double colorless on the Klinklang, because it's probably going to get Lysandered again eventually. So we will retreat to this Excadrill here with 3 energy on it already. And then Mach Claw once, Mach Claw twice. Sorry, Jinx, you did not make a difference. So we got the knockout, 1 prize left. Just a Lysander onto the Swirlix, and we have got it. Of course, we don't have a Lysander in our hand. That is a minor problem. But it looks like my opponent finally got a Juniper. So we're going to need to Headbringer going on to the Jirachi. That does somewhat ruin my plans. And there's the other thing that can ruin my plans. Crushing Hammer. This time is first Tails. Then there's another one for Heads. So we really do just need the Lysander here. He really can't leave this Jinx active for sure. He just promoted it for the Float Stone, I'm sure. We see a Rush In. What is that about? Huh. Did he forget he had a Float Stone? I don't know what that was about. But we'll see a Quaking Punch for no damage. I kind of want to end him to a low hand size, but I'm going to force him actually to have an end this next turn. We'll go ahead and attach to the Klinklang actually, and then we will Skyla for Lysander and say, look, if you have the if you have an end, then we keep playing. Or if you have a Lysander, then we'll keep playing. But Right now, I'm holding the game-winning card in my hand, so see what he can do about it. We'll dredge. Grab a special metal energy, and then Muck Claw for 50. We have another DCE in hand, so I think we can retreat or attack with anything on the field. So currently we are in the alright condition. Again, he can't do any damage to any of my Pokemon. Pretty much his only damage output is going to be from Hypnotoxic Laser, which, of course, I forgot. Sleep Flip on that would also be pretty bad. I think some big name used this at a tournament recently, the Seismitoad Slurpuff. I think it might have been Brit Piebass or something. Alright, so we see Jirachi coming out. And looks like a Tails on the laser flip. That's going to be game over for him if he doesn't get another laser flip. So Quaking Punch, we can see how big that is that Jirachi is protected by Klinklang. Looks like he was just kind of going for the win. 2 prizes. If I'd stayed asleep, actually, if I'd been asleep, I would have lost. But as it is, we do have the DCE, so we'll actually go ahead and Lysander. I don't want him to just scoop. He needs to witness the triumph. So we'll just bring up this here Swirlix attached to Jirachi. Retreat to this Excadrill hasn't gotten any action, so we'll just retreat to him. Dredge for what's on him already. Okay, that's fine. For metal, and then Muck Claw for 100, and that will be the game. So that's the deck. You can see even under Seismitoad Quaking Punch lock, we do still stand a slight chance. So yeah, this Seismitoad, that doesn't usually happen though. Seismitoad is usually way too quick to overcome, and so that's kind of the reason this deck isn't going to be terribly competitive, but I think Klinklang is a very strong card if you can get it out, just because it not only blocks damage from EX Pokemon, but also Mega Pokemon, which are of course EXs, but a lot of people don't really think about. When you say EX, you usually think of like Darkrai, Yveltal, Keldeo, things like that. But the Megas are also EXs, and they are receiving more and more play. So things like Primal Kyogre, Primal Groudon, Mega Gardevoir, Mega Manectric, all those cards, none of them can actually touch Steel Pokemon while Klinklang is in place. So something to think about. Klinklang definitely has some potential if you can find a way to get him out. So thanks for watching the video. I will certainly be more diligent this quarter about putting them out. I am Calvin from the Curious Card, and I will see you all in the next video.